We need we really need to step up our game here because we are so much more beautiful than the shows, right? So if you don't already know Sean, from like my life and my stories, this is Sean. Um, so I just want to tell you a little bit about Sean for myself. Okay, so as some of you know, and some of you don't know, I moved to Florida almost a year ago. I didn't know a soul besides my fiance, and I had no friends. Okay. I had a few. But I met Sean through the same person that connected me with my fiance, which is like I think I owe her my life, honestly. Hi Jess. um, and Sean's originally from Illinois, and so from like near Chicago suburbs, and so that's how we connected so well because like when you're in Florida and you're like from the Midwest, it's just like you instantly connect.
Yeah, it's like a bond.
You have like a literal bond because you're like, oh, these people didn't scrape snow off their cars. They've never gone through jack shit. So you just have this different bond. Um, and he's been such a great friend to me, and he's so incredible. And I learn more about him every day, and I can't wait for him to share his story with you guys. Um, but we're gonna let you take the floor a little bit. So just give a quick bio, just about who you are, just a quick little thing, because we'll get into like your background and policing and stuff. But just like, who are you, Mr. Sean?
So I grew up in Frankfort, Illinois, which is a suburb south of Chicago, so about 45 minutes south. And now I live here in South Florida. I am 24 years old,
Oh
and
my God, I'm so old.
I like to describe myself as being someone with a large personality. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm living life and I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. He's like, I usually have friends where I have to be like the spotlight a lot because I'm just, well, I don't have, you know what, that sounds wrong. I just always am because I'm the loudest. But like with Sean, I get to take a step back and I get to relax and he gets to be it's,
Yeah.
it's really nice for me.
We both have very strong
Yeah,
personalities.
it's like, wow, someone's with a stronger personality than me. Thank you, God. Okay. So we're gonna first go over like the bread and butter of just like your career path and stuff like that, and then get into the like peel the onion away a little bit. Okay.
Absolutely.
Um, so tell us your background in policing, like literally the day you were born until now, like your grandpa, like your whole life. His whole life has basically brought him here, I feel like. Um, so tell us about your background in policing from the very start.
So growing up, I had a desire to be a teacher, actually.
Well,
I always wanted to be a teacher. My
okay.
mom was a teacher, so to me,
Oh yeah.
that is my passion.
Uh-huh.
100%. Because I felt like it was really a job where you can like actually like impact people and interact. So I was pretty dead set on that. But then growing up, my grandpa was a Chicago police officer. So I also got to see that, and my godmother was a Chicago police officer. So I distinctly remember like seeing her star in her purse, and I was like, well, that's so cool.
Mhm.
And then, growing up, I started watching like the police TV shows, and then I started talking to my grandpa about it. And I remember when he retired, he had a big suitcase of all his like CPD stuff,
Oh my God, yeah.
and he gave it to me. And it had like all his reports, like accommodations, like literally his duty belt, his uniform, every like little medal. And I remember just being a kid, like just going through it for hours. And
That's
I
pretty
think
cool.
that's kind of just like what finally hooked me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to do this. Um, and from then on, I literally did not want to do anything else. Like
Yeah.
for all the kids, I always knew like that's what Sean wanted to be.
Like Sean the police officer
Yeah, that
in
was
like
like
third grade.
yeah, that's all I was off about. Like I thought it was the coolest thing. I remember watching like all these TV shows about it. Like that was I lived, eat, breathe, and sleep.
But then you went like you did start like policing at a young age. So
So
you
then I had like yes, I had a dying interest, and then I was in my freshman year Spanish class in high school, and the
hmm
girl sitting next to me is a friend of my sister,
Okay.
and she like we just started talking, and I remember she was like, oh, like I'm in this police explorer program. Um, and I was kind of like, what is that? And she's like, oh, we meet once a week and we go on ride-alongs, we learn about what police work is about and stuff like that. And she gave me the brochure. Like I remember like she like slid it on my desk. And I was like, okay.
She recruited you.
Yeah, she
I
recruited
wonder
me.
if she works in recruitment now.
So then I remember I went home, I told my mom about it. I'm like, well, like, this program's close by, I really want to do it. So I remember going to my first like open house meeting
Uh-huh.
and I started the program at 14 and I stayed in it all the way until I was 20.
Literally.
So like that program,
They're
it
like, you
paid,
gotta go, Sean.
paid great.
So yeah, and okay, so about the Explorers program, because I want to talk about that for a second, because I used to work the Explorers program in Chicago, so I had my little Explorers, and we connected on that level too.
Yeah.
But just for like anyone who's listening, who's like a parent who wants to get their kid in the Explorers, or I don't know if I have listeners under the age of 18, but maybe I do. Um, just how do you like tell us about the Explorer
So
program?
the Explorer program, I truly think like impacted my life forever. I was a very timid kid. I was actually very, very shy. Um, Yes, and which is hard to
Yeah.
believe, but it was very true. And the Explore program taught me about leadership, accountability, like basically how to be a productive member of society.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm forever indebted to my Explore advisors. They truly like, I feel like filled the parent role for me. And they helped raise me. I truly
Yeah.
feel like it was my outlet. I didn't really like sports growing up, but the Explore program was like my version of going to sports.
Right.
And I made lifelong friends in it. I got to travel and go to competitions.
Yes.
And it really just kind of like prepared me for this career field. So even I had a lot of friends who didn't even want to become cops who were in the Explorer program, and it has reflected in their life now. Like
Yeah.
it gives you a sense of kind of purpose as a young person.
Yeah.
And like all my best memories in high school were the Explorer program, like going to Indiana for a state competition or seeing like the FBI come talk to us. Like, those
Yeah.
were things that average kids didn't get to experience,
That's
and
true.
I did. So
And I feel like it helps you get prepared for like you said, any job. Like as a young person to like know like discipline and
yeah.
like how to like talk to like a
Mhm.
supervisor or
And
whatever
then it
because
helped
so
me
many
get hired as
kids
like
don't know
a
how.
service aide. Like I got
Right.
hired as a civilian
Well,
police.
that's your next step in his whole life of policing.
Yeah, so then after being in the Explorer program, a local police department, um, shout out Frankfurt Police,
You can put your finger
um,
down.
they hired me at 18 years old to be a community service officer. So the Explorer program kind of like led me to that, and I worked part-time at Frankfurt Police as a community service officer, while I was also in college. So that taught me on how to like traffic crash, evidence, basic things that like civilian police could handle, things blocking the roadway, and then we also did a lot of like crime prevention. So I worked closely with our crime prevention unit, um, you know, farmer markets, things like that.
Hmm.
So that kind of like really prepared me to become a police officer
Yeah.
because then I actually had like every single day interacting with cops and kind of learning like what this job actually is,
Yes.
not the
Yes.
TV version of the job.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like still ready to go.
You were basically a cop your whole life.
Yeah.
So you basically had 13 years of being like a regular person.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, literally, I started wearing uniform at
Like,
14, then
oh
took
my
the class.
God.
Um,
Someone gift this man a vacation. Where's Oprah? Okay. So now you're in Florida and you're a real police officer. You're a deputy,
correct.
um, which is a sheriff, like a part of the sheriff's police. It's pretty much the same thing as being an officer.
Yeah,
I
yeah, of
mean,
course.
whatever. But I didn't really know the difference for a long time. Honestly, I still really don't. I think it's
I mean,
again,
it's just
it's
obviously
like
a deputy sheriff has obviously jurisdiction anywhere in the county, whereas
right.
a police officer has jurisdiction in the municipality that they're hired in.
See,
So,
it's just about where you work. You're still an officer. You can still pull people over, do all the same
just
stuff.
you have a lot, you have a larger jurisdiction.
Yeah, so you're like cooler, honestly. Um, okay, so when you chose to make the move from Illinois to Florida to become a deputy, what was the process like for you?
So,
Because I lateraled here. So I was already an officer in Illinois, and then I just applied to an agency down here and I just like lateral transferred. You started fresh here, like it was your first real position, sworn position. So in that it's different. So like what was that process?
So, unlike Illinois, every department here, they have different physical fitness requirements.
Right.
My agency required that you go to the academy, you took kind of like a power test, push-ups, running, an obstacle course, but you also have to do a swimming course here.
Yeah.
So that you can't even apply here without that. I don't know if that's similar to Illinois.
No.
So
No, because you take the physical test like while you're in the
yeah,
process.
see, so here,
Which kind of doesn't, I feel like you should do it first if it
yeah,
like
which I think
it's
makes
like
sense.
weed out the people who can't pass it, but no, it's like you're already on phase like 4 when you take the physical.
Yeah, so I just flew here on a whim, truly, and I was like, I knew I had to go to this town to take this test.
Hmm.
I passed the physical test, and then I flew back to Illinois. And I just kept on like I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply down there, but I really don't think I thought it was gonna happen. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna stay working at the police department I'm at.
Dream.
They're gonna send me to the academy there, whatever. And I remember like at the time telling everyone that I was applying down here that like really no one was like understanding why. And I couldn't even explain why. I was just
Yeah.
like, no, I need to do something different for my life. I don't want to stay in Illinois. And I think like not like a crisis, but I was kind of like, let me just like I don't know, spread my wings. I
Yeah, like get up and leave.
and I just kept on moving along the process, and then it kind of get more and more real.
Yeah. And how did you choose your agency? Like, or did
Um,
you apply for several agencies?
no, I only applied for one down here. I knew which one I wanted to work for.
Okay.
My
So you did
agent,
your research.
yes, my agency was big on like recruitment and um, they're pretty notorious, so
Yeah.
it was a big deal to me to want to be there. And also, they were very like LGBTQ plus friendly, which was a big deal to me. So that really played a big part in it.
So like if you're coming from out of state, let's say someone wants to go work in like Ohio or something. Basically see what their requirements are is what you're saying, like as far as like physical and tests and like maybe like if they require education or whatever and do your research on like what the department because I speak on that too all the
Yeah.
time. It's like what is that like what are you looking for? And does that department like show that like
Yeah,
on
do
their
they
social
like align
media?
with your
Like
values? I think that's the key
yeah.
thing. Is like a lot of people, and I get it. They just want to get hired at the first agency, and like they just can't wait to be a cop. And I support that and go for it. However,
But
like be selective too, because
yes.
there is a lot of agencies out there that are hiring. Okay,
Yeah.
so it is not like it was 20 years ago where you were just praying that your name gets called off that list. Because when I was an explorer, like I remember that's how it was. Like you got on that list and you were
Me. I was like lottery number like
yeah. So
3,000
we are not in
whatever.
that day and age anymore.
Yeah.
So be selective and make
Yeah.
sure they align with your values. Go on a ride along. I went on a ride
Yes,
along.
right along.
I went on a ride along down here. And I also had a recruiter. So you don't
Which is super important.
get a recruiter. If I give someone one piece of advice, get a recruiter, get their card, and you stay in contact with them because they're
Yeah.
going to tell you the real deal. Okay, the recruitment video is one thing. Talking to an actual person who works there, like I had a great recruiter.
Yeah, I think
So
that's really important because I didn't have a recruiter for Chicago and I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
yeah,
I didn't know what was the next steps. I didn't know where I was going. Someone would call me off a random number. I would answer and they'd be like, are you ready to come for the polygraph like tomorrow? I'm like, sure. Am I
yeah.
talking to like who am I talking to? So yeah, like I think that's really good advice. Okay. So okay, so we kind of talked. The next was just be like, what would be the advice? Because I know it's hard to like start fresh in like a new city, but I think like as long as you research like the job and the
Mhm.
morals and values. So we kind of touched on that. Um, so now we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into your background.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun. And happy Pride Month, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, So Sean is an openly gay,
hmm
what should I say, person?
Yeah,
A
I'm open to
human being, just like us. Yeah. And he's an LGBTQ liaison officer for his department, which is amazing. Um, and so when did you know like you were gay? And
so
when did you come out to your family?
I I knew as a kid that I wasn't normal per se. I
Like
knew that
what they say is
yeah, I
normal.
knew as a kid that something was different in me, but I always just kind of thought that, whatever, like I know I don't fit in with other kids. I know I don't really have like crushes on girls, but it'll just kind of happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's just something I kept on putting off. And then, a lot of things happen at the age of 16, which kind of forced me to come out. And I just, I told someone and they told someone
He
and
was exposed.
it was a big scandal, and it kind of forced me to come out, but it also was the biggest blessing that I came of that
Yeah.
age because
So you were 16.
I was 16, which is a very, very hard age to come out,
It is a hard
especially
age.
when
Judgy people.
you're in high school still.
Yeah.
So coming out as a high schooler, like, I don't know, I think me being older would have been beneficial in some ways, but also being younger allowed me to kind of grow up a little bit more authentically.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons. It wasn't easy coming out 16. Like, I feel like you feel so alone because you don't have the experience of being an adult.
And if there's other people who are gay, they're probably not coming out at 16 either.
Yeah, and
They're
also
probably
like,
like secretly looking at you like, I wish I could do the same, but they're not.
yeah, and like also I think now it's a little bit different, but I remember growing up gay and like, in a smaller town feel,
Yeah.
you knew the other kids who were also kind of part of that little club. And
But no one really said it or,
no, it was a different time period back then. Like
yeah.
it wasn't, I vividly remember like when gay marriage was being passed and like
Hmm.
watching it on the news with my parents. Like, and it wasn't talked about. It was
He
just
talks about that a lot. And it's so funny because you're younger than me, but you say, like, literally when I was coming out, like, as gay, like, gay marriage wasn't even a thing yet.
like it was like really like it was a thing when I was a kid, and I remember like each state was passing it. I
Yeah.
remember learning about it. But then like obviously when I came out as a kid, it was officially passed by all states. But that was a big deal back then. So
Right.
I didn't grow up with the illusion of like, oh yeah, it's like a given almost.
Right.
Like because it wasn't a given. It
Yeah.
was like I remember watching Ellen back then, and
Yeah.
I was a big Ellen kid. Don't know, shocker.
Shocker.
I remember watching on the TV like her talk about like Proposition 8, which was a big thing in
Oh, I
California
remember.
regarding gay marriage, and like so I had exposure to that and being like, ooh, this maybe don't talk about this because this isn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
Whereas kids now, it's a thing. They're like,
Yeah. I think it's more normalized, but I still think it's probably really hard because social media is more, it's
mhm.
bigger now, and the hate and the bullying I feel like is like worse now.
Yeah, I
So I
mean,
feel like
it's tough.
as much as it's more normalized, it's probably people are meaner now. So
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
I still think it's hard to come out now. I mean, I think it's hard
I
to
think
come
it's
out.
extremely
It's really
hard,
hard to come out no matter what
no
time
matter
period
what.
you're in because unfortunately, people still, people are entitled to their opinions. I'm a strong believer of that. I am friends with people who have way different opinions than me, and
For
I think
sure.
that's healthy.
Yeah.
However, I think there's still a lot of hateful people out there who really hate on people who are coming out and experiencing that.
Yeah.
And that is hard. That is hard because you cannot be blocked out from that as a kid. Like you're gonna read
Yeah.
the articles, you're gonna see the TV shows, you're gonna see the news people who talk about comments. And, I remember as like a 12-year-old seeing gay protesters for gay marriage being like, ooh, that's a little scary. Like,
Yeah. Like
hey,
you're like,
like
would I do
the thing that
that?
is inside of you,
Yeah.
they're hating on. So to
Yeah.
openly be like, yeah, by the way, I'm this,
Yeah.
easy.
No, for sure. Yeah, and especially with our being a first responder, it's different too. So because of the stigma that's behind like being a police officer or a first responder, like even us women, we're expected to be like, people have judged me for wearing makeup to work. Like,
Right.
meh, you know. So you have to be masculine and you
Mhm.
have to be that, and there's plenty of gay and whatever, straight, whoever the F you are, that are masculine. It doesn't matter like
Yeah,
what you
so
are. Like it's just ridiculous. But basically, like, how do you navigate like being a first responder, being an officer, and being gay? I guess, just I mean by the stigma of it.
yeah, no, let's get to the nitty-gritty of this. I
Yeah,
like to
because people judge.
it's harder. It is harder, and I would lie if I sat here and said that my experience has been 100% easy and
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the hard road.
Yeah.
It's hard, but before I get to the hard, I'd like to also highlight that I have the most accepting coworkers in the world
Yeah.
and command staff that have literally like embraced me times 10.
Yes. You're very
So
lucky with
I'm
that.
very lucky with that.
Yeah.
But to say that my path to policing was easy, no. And I'm sharing this because I know there's other people out there who also have dreams of becoming a police officer, and they are part of the LGBTQ plus community, and they're afraid.
Yeah, maybe they feel like they can't or they shouldn't or they don't
Because
fit the
the
picture
stigma,
perfect.
the
Yeah.
stigma, even like I always, in a way, talk about how female officers have been my safe haven as a new officer because they, to this day, unfortunately, still experience bullying and hate
Yeah.
more than a male ever will. And I always say this, like phrase when I kind of explain people is when a male officer graduates the academy, there's a saying in police work where they're like, "Oh, that recruit, he's 10-8," which means like
He's ready to
he's
go.
squared away. So all of a sudden, like, oh, he's 10-8. I don't get that same luxury
No.
because when I'm known as, oh, he's the one that's blah blah or blah blah, and then I have to prove myself. Whereas a female officer, day one, right, she always has to prove herself. It's not right, but it
No.
is how it is. So I knew going in that, listen, it's not going to be even.
Right.
So work harder, improve yourself.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm proud to say that's what I do every day.
Yeah.
I beat the stigma.
Yeah. But it's also like, and you do, but it's
Mhm.
also unfair that you have to feel like you have to prove yourself every day.
Yeah,
Like you're go to CrossFit every day. You're tall.
yeah,
You're fucking smart. Like you could
and I
beat the
take
shit
pride
out
in
of
my
someone.
job. I take pride in my job, and I take pride in doing it well.
He's
Um,
so smart, you guys. Like he quizzed me on all my because I had to take the Florida exam. I knew Jack about the state of Florida. He knew everything. He didn't even have to look in the book. Like he's extremely smart.
Thank
No,
you.
you are.
Yeah, and I think that's also though
But it's
because
sad that you have to prove yourself
yeah, I definitely
constantly.
get to prove myself, but it also has made me better in some ways because I don't get the same
It's like you
luxury.
can't touch me.
I don't get the same luxury just being complacent.
Right?
And that would change. And I have so many mentors in my career field who are openly gay who came before me and they've had it 20 times harder than I have had it.
Yes,
Like
yes.
they started in the 80s and 90s. So to them, their struggle like kind of inspired me to be like, not minimize mine, but like, listen, they opened the door. This is what I
That's
told my
fair.
one
Okay.
mentor. I always
Yeah.
told him this. I said, you open the door, so I have to run through it.
Yes, I
And
love
you
that.
know what? He knows who he is. He's a very big mentor to me.
Okay.
He had to come out and he was probably back then one of the very few.
Yeah.
So, he's kind of always paved the way for me. So now I kind of feel like my job is to keep going.
Yeah.
And whatever he started is to keep going. And,
Yeah.
he's really guided me and he's also really taught me, he is ranked in my department. And so, which means he's risen up from a deputy all the way top. And he's taught me that, like you're gonna have obstacles in your career, but don't let that define you.
Right.
So I'm very thankful that early on in my career I had people mentor me,
Yeah.
which is why I also kind of want to do that for others. So, I feel like it's important to
Which
keep
he
on,
does do every day,
yeah.
which we'll obviously get into, but
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
you really do like take your platform and like use it for the greater good all the
Yeah. We
time.
need people too.
Yeah. Um, so I know that's my next question. Is that I know you've inspired a lot of officers who are gay or not even like just maybe struggling with feeling different or like they have to prove themselves
Right.
or whatever. Um, and you've, inspired them to not be afraid and to not be afraid of who they are. Tell us about a story, and you don't have to say names or anything, but like, have you seen firsthand where you've impacted someone's life? That did they tell you? Because I know that you've told me in certain things, like people have
Like
told
law
you,
enforcement officers.
like, yeah, like I know that some people have messaged you and
Yeah.
like
So,
said
um,
things.
sharing my story on public platforms and things like that, and just through my agencies, like videos. It has opened up a door to people who have reached out to me and been like, "Hey, because of you, I'm pursuing this career field." I'll never forget one day I was doing a training class, and a male stopped me in the parking lot, ran up to me, and he called out my name, and I was like, "Yes,
You're
what's
like,
up?"
who?
Yeah, I was a little like, "Ooh, what's going on?" And he was like, "Hey, I'm at the academy today because I'm taking my physical fitness exam." And I'm like, "Oh, cool, whatever." And he's like, "I saw your video that you talked about being an openly gay police officer. and it inspired me to apply. And that's a moment I'll never forget.
Right.
Like I got goosebumps that moment, and it's forever changed me
Yeah.
because anytime I want to kind of like pull back from
Yeah.
being known as the gay deputy,
Yeah.
things like that, I'm like, nope, keep going because you know what? I'm changing the culture,
Right.
which
You
is a
are.
big deal to me, and also proving to people that it's only a part of me, but it is a big part of me, but it also doesn't affect me doing my job, and I'm just as capable as anyone else.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there's also been times on calls though where the outcome of the call was better because I was there.
100%.
Yeah, like I don't know if you want me to talk about that, but
Yeah.
like probably one of the most impactful times was without getting into the details is we had a house that I would go to a lot when I was on patrol on nights, and unfortunately they had a child who was experiencing coming out to her family and it was not well received.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there a lot before basically I picked up on what the core issue was.
Okay.
And I remember I talked to the juvenile off the side and let them know, hey, I'm a liaison here. I also know what it feels like to come out your age.
Yeah.
And probably a month went by before I went back there, and we went back there with Child Protective Services because the juvenile ran away again.
Mm-hmm.
And the Child Protective Service office, worker, she called me and she's like, when we pull up with her in the car to bring her back home and she sees you guys outside, she's gonna run out of the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I have a really good rapport with her. We'll see. So I
Yeah.
remember she pulled up in her like little Toyota Camry, whatever, and the kid opened the back seat to go walk inside, and she saw me,
Uh-huh.
and she ran up to me and hugged me.
Oh,
And the CPS worker was like, I remember her, she was like,
she's like,
that
what?
was not the reaction I was expecting.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I've dealt with her before. And I remember she's like, oh, well, he's different. And the kid was pointing to me, and she was like, he's different. And to me, like, I mean, I could have cried right then and there.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember being like, all right, well, imagine if I wasn't the one that was dealing with this kid. Imagine
Literally.
what the outcome could have been. Imagine,
Who
I remember,
knows what that.
I hope that kid's doing good. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I had a little pride sticker from our department that we passed out, and I was like, hey, here's resources for you.
Yeah.
I wish you well. Obviously, she's still juvenile, she still lives at home with her parents.
Yeah.
That's on them, but
Yeah.
at least if I had a small impact in that child's life,
Yeah.
it forever changed my life. That
Yeah.
call, I'll never forget that person, and I kind of think it keeps me going. And
100%.
the last thing, I guess, those were like my three core ones. So
Yeah.
sorry,
No, no, I love
but
it.
last year at the Pride Parade,
Oh, I think you told
I
me this.
had
I like this one.
he's probably
So he can walk in the pride parade with like his uniform on and stuff.
and I probably had he was about 80 years old male. He walked up to me, and he shook my hand. He's like, "Thank you so much for your service, blah blah blah." And he got really serious and looked at me and he was like, "This is the first time I've ever felt really safe with a police officer." And
He was 80.
he was a very old
Yeah.
elderly male, and I had the rainbow paint on my face. I had pride pins in my uniform and stuff, and I just remember like looking at him and I was like, "Wow!" Like
Literally.
the deepness of that comment though. He's gone his whole life
Whole life.
being afraid of the police,
Yep.
and me merely wearing a symbol of just love
Yeah.
made him feel safe with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So that's why when people hate on law enforcement touching that topic,
Yeah.
I'm like, why would we hate on law enforcement making someone feel safe? That is the core essence of our job,
Yeah.
is to make people feel safe.
Yeah.
So me wearing a sticker on my uniform means I made one person feel safe. I think we're okay.
Absolutely.
I think we'll get over
Yeah. Sweet as
it.
fine.
All right. I think the haters can move on and maybe
Yeah. Like, and I think the ones who are hating, like on the haters topic, are just very insecure in their own self. Because like, why would you care?
and
Like,
also
why would it impact you? Like, what does it mean to you if I wear a sticker?
and I think
Like,
while I'm on
what?
this rant, I'm gonna touch the
Please.
topic of, and I've seen a lot of posts recently of agencies who have done Pride stuff on their vehicles and things like that.
Yeah, Chicago got a vehicle,
Right.
but there was,
There's a lot of
there's
pushback.
a lot of
And
pushback.
this is my perspective, and I know not everyone's gonna agree with my perspective. However, think about it like this. Growing up, and people who are gay in the 70s, 80s, Stonewall riots was a protest
Yes.
involving police officers.
Yes.
So for over 40 years now, we've had issues with law enforcement in the LGBT community.
Yeah.
So for 1 month out of the year, if we can do a small symbol of putting a thing on a car to rebuild the trust that we as law enforcement ruined,
Yeah.
I don't think that's awful.
No, it's not.
So, you
It's
know
not at
what?
all.
I think that's a small thing to do that gains a community's root trust.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, it was we need to gain the root trust of the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
We ruined it, not us personally, but those came before us, unfortunately, did some actions that were incorrect.
Yeah.
So if we can paint a car, put a sticker on a vest to make an individual feel safe to talk to the police, then that is our job. And that's
Yeah.
my take on it.
Yeah. And like
So
the sad part is like people are just gonna judge them, like even this podcast, maybe,
yeah, and,
you know?
that's
But
okay.
for
And
what? Like for like it
it's
really makes no
because
sense.
it's because if we're not the status quo of what people perceive law enforcement
Right.
to be, it's
Right.
how dare we?
Right.
But we have to change it. We have
Yeah.
to. There's nothing wrong with being who you are and wearing a uniform. And I think that's what people hate on the most is, yeah, I don't act like a cop. But you know what? That makes me a better cop.
Yeah. Like what is but what is acting like a cop? Because
It's
people
the
say that to me
stereotype.
too. They're like, no way you're an actual police
Yeah,
officer. Like,
yeah,
you don't drive the car. I'm like, well, how do I get to work?
yeah.
Like, there's no way you arrested someone. Like the actual fuck I do all the time.
Right.
Like, what?
No, I get
But
those
it's
comments all
just,
the
but like you said earlier, it's like, um, what you see on TV or in the news or whatever is not the reality.
And I think people perceive the fact that we do have personalities and they can't
Yeah.
fathom that we could be a professional.
And like be fun
Like
at the same
when
time.
I'm in police mode and I'm
Yeah.
there to do my job 100%.
But at the same
No,
time, like, so I'm the one who's like driving my arrestee in the back seat to jail, and I'm like, well, what music do you like? Like, I'll play what songs you like on the way to jail.
but and that's and but like
You're like, oh, I like this. Oh, let's turn it up, baby. We'll sing along together. Like,
you're still getting compliance,
I'm
but you're
still
also
human.
doing
They're
your
human.
right. You're still doing
Yeah,
your job though.
you can still be nice. You don't have to be like an
Yeah, and
ass to be
I
a
think that's a
police
problem in law
officer.
enforcement is like if you show your personality, it's like, well, how can they hold their own out there? I can hold my own absolutely, and you know what? I have no doubts in my ability to hold my own, but I also have a personality,
Correct.
so embrace it.
And also, thank God, because 9 times out of 10, when you go to someone's house and you're dealing when shit hits the frickin' fan, man, when someone like us walks in and not tooting our own horns or anything, but kind of tooting our own horns, it's like, we can talk. And like
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's not always about like use of force or showing your dominance. It's about like, hey, what's going on? Like, talk to me. Like
yeah,
getting on their level and just being like, dude, listen, I understand. Like I have families too. I have this
yeah.
too. Like, listen, I get you. And it's like being able to talk and that personality really comes into play. Like, what people don't realize is every day we're going into people's homes. We're going into your home on probably one of the worst days of your life because you're calling 911.
Mhm.
So, who do you want to come in? Someone who's like, hey, why did we get called here? Or someone's like, hey, how are you? What's going on? Can I help you today? Like, can you tell me how I can, help you? What's going on? Like, so maybe this will open people's eyes to like accept
And I think
different
and I always
personalities and
and
different
always I
people.
say do both. Like that is my one advice to people is don't get it twisted. Yes, have a personality and yes, embrace who you are, right?
Oh yeah.
But do both. You better be a squared away officer. You better be physically fit. You better be proficient with your weapons.
Yeah.
Because listen, I get when people can judge us, right? Oh, they look super fun. Don't get it twisted.
Don't get
I
it
can be super
twisted.
fun. I have a personality, but I'm also very confident in my abilities, and I
Yep.
also take my job very seriously. So if you're gonna be fun and personality and officer friendly per se, you
Yeah.
also better be a very good backup. You better
Yeah.
be very squared away, and you better know your job.
Yeah.
So I also get people's thing. Yes, there's a standard, and I maintain that standard.
Yeah.
But I
Amen,
also
honey.
have a personality.
Yeah. You could do it
You
all.
can do both.
Like honestly, you could be it all. Like shocker. Like, can you believe it? Can you believe I can shoot a gun and I can shoot it real good? Can you
But
believe
also
it?
you have a personality, right? Like
Because I
it's
can.
possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of talked about it, but so how have you taken this life path of yours, okay, and turned it into something positive on the job as a police officer? So we've been talking about it, but so I guess tell us about the, how about this? Tell us about the LGBTQ liaison officer and like what you do with that or what you do as your role,
Yeah,
like right
so
now.
obviously that's a
So
very
he's
so like I do community policing right now.
right.
That's my main focus at work. However, I work patrol just as much. I love
Yeah.
patrol. My heart is in patrol. And I love being out there. However, right now I think my calling is to do community
Yeah.
outreach because I have the ability to connect with
And can
people.
we also just say that being a community outreach police officer, you're still a police officer? Because people think you're not a police officer.
Yeah,
Like
unfortunately,
you're still a police
there's a
officer.
stigma out there. Like I respond to calls
Yeah.
all day
You when
long.
you're go out in your car, you can still pull people over. It's not
Like
like you can't be a police officer. You're still 100% a police officer. Your focus is just
engaging
working with
and
the
solving
community,
deeper issues. I always
which is
say,
hard.
the community feels more comfortable going to me, so I'm able to actually handle the root of a problem.
Yes.
Whereas, and I also think my job is a support patrol.
It's very hard
It's a
too.
support patrol. I
Very
mean,
hard.
officers, they're going to calls all day long. So if they're going to a problem house or problem
Yes.
issue, then
Yes.
I can go out there and actually have
Yeah.
the time to what is the core issue
Right.
here,
Right.
then you know what? I think that's a huge benefit to the agency.
100%.
So, obviously people are gonna hate on that, but to me, at the end of the day, I know how many people I'm able to like change their course of their life.
Right.
So I think it's a necessary.
And you host community events a
I
lot.
host community events, engagement, we talk about issues, and we talk to kids while in schools, we try to
Yep.
educate them. Um,
Safety.
Safety, and I love it. I love what I do. It's a very rewarding part of my career. It's
Yeah.
not going to be my whole career. I
Right.
would say I probably have like another year or so before I'm going to transition either back to patrol or go to the detective bureau.
Detective. Yep.
But I'm embracing this part of my career because I know when I look back, it's gonna be one of the most rewarding parts.
You learn a lot in community policing
Hmm.
because, like you said, it's not just you go into the house, you do your job, you write your paper, and you leave. It's more like problem solving,
Yeah.
and it's a lot deeper. And I think that it will prepare you for a longer, stronger career because like the in depths of like like a lot of it crosses over, but a lot of it doesn't at the same time. So I would have when I worked in community policing, I would have so many officers be like, "Hey, what do we do in this situation?"
Hmm.
Because they don't know, and respectfully, because they don't know like, "Hey, how can we help with this school's always having this traffic issue, or this one kid is constantly missing school. What resources can we give their
Yeah.
parents or whatever?" There's so, or like mental health issues. We have a ton of resources, or housing or shelter, whatever it may be. But like a lot of road patrol officers don't know the ins and
Yeah, and I
outs.
feel like our job is it's like
Respectfully,
to connect the two. Like
yeah, it
I'm the
should be
liaison
more
from the
connected.
police department to these organizations because I have them. I know these people. We're
Right.
on a first name basis.
Right.
So if I can use my like relationship to kind of connect people, then that's such a cool
And he's a
advantage.
great connector. You're a great connector.
So yeah, I take pride in building those relationships because patrol doesn't have the time. They're busy. They're hardworking.
Yeah.
They're the first line of defense.
Yep.
So if I can guide them, to me, we are like a huge benefit to the law enforcement community.
100%. And you're kind of like the face.
You are the face, and you take a lot of heat.
That's hard. It's hard to be like
It's
the
24
face of an officer
It is 24/7
24/7.
job. You get called all hours of the day and night because people know you and they want to let you know of an issue and they don't want to tell the police about it,
Yeah.
but they want to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool in a way that you're kind of like people feel like safe enough to tell you something that they wouldn't tell anyone else.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Just a second. We'll be right back.
okay.
And and we're back. We needed some water. Okay, so back at it, baby.
Back
In
at it.
policing and life,
Mhm.
I'm sure that you've had trials and tribulations, and we've talked about some, but through everything that you've been through, what's
Mhm.
your biggest motivation?
I think
It's kind of a big question,
the
but
thing that I think almost keeps me going is that I've been able to start a lot of conversations with
oh my
people.
God, I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's really what keeps me going is I've become like can almost get emotional talking about this, but my old squad at work truly was the best human beings on earth. And to this
Aw.
day, like I owe like my life to them because not only do they have my backs on the street, but they genuinely like cared to ask me questions and wanted to learn about like my life and also about the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
So when I hear people say like, horrific things like because sometimes I think people come so close with me and they're like, yeah, but like, only if the others were like you. And I'm like, stop.
Ah,
I'm like,
that's
don't get it twisted. They actually are. I'm like,
right.
however, their few bad apples have made you think because let me, my group of backup I had on the road and stuff, like I was so scared of going on that squad because I'm like, wow, great. They're gonna think I'm the weak link. They're gonna think I can't hold my own.
Yeah.
And it was far from that.
Yeah.
They'd be like, when they learned that I could be their friend and we really got to know each other,
Yeah.
this person's been like, Sean, can you explain this to me? I just want to know. And I was like, really?
He also just got a call on this break, like asking him on something what to do. Like
Yeah.
literally just right now. Hey Sean, I know you'll know this, so really quick, can you help me like literally right now on this on this water break?
I think
No,
It,
it is.
yeah, it's kind of cool though. Like my squad though, that they wanted to be educated on it, and I was able to bring the perspective of a police officer, and also, being diverse. I was
Yeah,
able to give them that information, and that's how real change happens. So those
totally.
little 2 a.m. conversations of car to car of, hey, I saw this. How would I approach that?
I love that.
That's what motivates me
Yeah,
because they would not be exposed to anywhere else.
yeah. And I love with you and your squad mates and your friends too, what I've seen is like a lot of them are the typical cop looking dudes who look very masculine, act very masculine, whatever, and they love Sean. They just love hanging out with him and being with him. And I mean, why wouldn't you, right? But I just love that, like, maybe for people who are listening, it's like, don't be afraid to open that door because like you'd be surprised maybe how many people don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah,
people just accept you and like love you because not because of you what your sexual preference is. Who cares? It's just they're gonna like you for your personality or not,
yeah.
basically. If they don't
Well,
like you for your
they have
personality,
changed their
it is what it
opinions
is.
on it almost. Like,
Yeah.
I think I told you that story of the senior officer who came up to me and apologized, and he said he never had any idea. Like, I
Yeah.
had a senior officer who I actually respected very much so, um, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I always had a wrong opinion about you. Me and him never worked together until one day we did on patrol, and I respect this man a lot." And he's like, "I had a wrong opinion of you," and I was kind of like, well, how can you opinion on me? We never worked together.
Uh-huh.
But in policing, you'll learn. Maybe
Yeah.
not you. So like me, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's so weird.
And he told me he's like, I was completely wrong about you. He's like, you're a very good cop. And first of all, it meant a lot to the senior officer.
Yeah.
But second of all, I kind of was like, damn, you had an opinion of me and you never even knew who I was. But
Yeah.
I respect him so much for coming up to me and telling me to my
I
face.
respect
And
that.
he goes, I only saw the social media side of you
Hmm.
and the things that they were posted about you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a lot of people fail to realize like what? Like I still am a cop.
Yeah.
But I respect him so much for
Yeah, I
having that
respect that.
conversation. He didn't have to, but we had that raw talk where he's like, "You're a good officer,
Yeah.
and you're also can like wave a pride flag." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Can you believe
do
it?
both."
Yeah.
Crazy. So
That's
like
actually a big deal.
that's what motivates
That's a
me.
big
Come
deal.
on, like you'll never experience
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I love
So
that. I would appreciate that from some people.
yeah.
Okay. So moving right along. Where do you see your career going from here? Like, do you have any hopes and dreams? I mean, we touched on it a little bit, or are you kind of letting the chips fall where they may? I mean, he's young, he's 24. You got a
Um,
lot of life to live in this job. You got a lot of time left. So tell us about like where you see your career going.
I think eventually
Superintendent.
I definitely want to go the route of promotion. But I don't want to do it. Like I want to wait a little bit in my career. Um,
Enjoy.
I really am passionate about like special victims unit. So maybe my chips will fall there.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be somewhere else. We don't know, but I definitely know that I have big aspirations and I'm not someone that ever likes to be the status quo. So
Yeah.
I hope to keep pushing forward and honestly, I've had to teach myself this past few months, that like don't always be in such a rush.
I was just gonna say that. Like
And
slowing down is
my
okay.
boss is really good at reminding me of that. because he knows how I am and I'm very ambitious. And
Yeah.
he's had it many times to, like, reel me back in.
Yeah.
I've been like,
Like you got 25
yeah,
more
and
years.
he's done a really good job of like pulling me back and being like, kind of enjoy where you're at in life.
Yeah,
So I'm
the
thankful. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so in that sense, you are very ambitious and you have achieved a lot in your career. And you just recently won Deputy of the Year. How many people are like in your agency, would you say?
Uh, I've like probably in total like 3,000 sworn or something.
Like a lot, like
Yeah, we're a bigger
thousands.
agency. Not gonna say
And
where, but we're
yeah, no,
big.
he's a big agency and he he won. I mean, he's he got Deputy of the Year, which is a huge honor. It's the ultimate honor. Um, how does that make you feel?
It makes me emotional and it makes me very humble.
It's a huge
Like
deal.
I'm very humble about it because like I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm just so thankful, I guess, that I have like bosses and command staff that recognize it and submitted me for it. And it is such an honor. Like I was when they told it to me, I wanted to like cry almost in that moment
yeah,
because I reflect back on the 14-year-old police explorer Sean, who remembered going, yeah, this probably won't be for you because of that secret. Like
right.
I remember when fun fact, when I was 16, I like maybe stopped going to when I came out, I stopped going to the police explorer meeting for like 3 months in a row.
Yeah,
And my advisors reached out to me and they're like, why? Like, why are you taking this break?
yeah,
But it was kind of like I was like in my
struggling.
head, I wrote off the fact that I could be gay and a cop. So when I received notification of that, I kind of look back and I'm like, if only that little 14-year-old kid
Would
who
know.
was wearing his little Explorer uniform every Wednesday night could see that, yeah, not only did you become a law enforcement officer, but you also are like, you know, doing things. It's a pretty cool moment.
I like when you said recognized because I think that's a huge deal in policing in general is like it's a very thankless job. Everyone's going about their day, everyone's working very hard. So to be recognized by command staff is a huge deal because everyone's busting their ass, right? It's not an easy job. No matter if you're the
Mm,
laziest cop out there, the hardest working cop out there, you're still working hard.
yeah.
So for you to be recognized for your efforts as an officer in the community, what you're offering people, like so much more than just being what you have to be is a huge deal.
It's a massive deal, and I'm like, my captain, lieutenant, sergeant, I'm very close with them. And they're the ones who really rallied for me to get this and push for me. And I know they're the ones who submitted me. And I can't thank them enough for doing it. But it's like it's also so cool knowing how much they support me and they
Right.
do recognize me because not everyone I would say is blessed as I am to have command staff like mine. And
Yeah.
also like they mentor me every day. Like, they are so accepting of me. And they also like, they support me pushing the envelope when I need to push it
Yeah.
and they also like love my mission of like humanizing the badge and also tackling on like being openly gay in law enforcement. All my command staff and direct supervisor, like they're so supportive of me.
Which
So,
is huge.
which
And
is
props to them,
oh
honestly.
yeah, they have
If they listen, props to them because that they might have not always been that way. You know, like in
I'm
their
blessed. Like
careers. Like,
they've picked up on the moments where I've gotten like I think maybe like discouraged, and they're the
yeah,
first ones that are like, nope, keep going.
I love that.
So I'm
That's the best kind of
if they're
boss.
listening, I'm thankful to them
Yeah.
because not everyone gets that experience in law enforcement. There's a lot
Yeah.
of disgruntled human beings in law enforcement
Yeah.
who fall in the trap of woe is me, and I'm surrounded in my inner circle by people who are like that. And I also think that's something as a cop you need to make sure you surround yourself with. I don't surround myself with people who are negative
Yeah.
because there is cops out there who I will say hi to you, I love you, but I will not hang out with you. I will not pull up car to car with you because your energy will drain me. Like
Yeah, it's
we are
true.
not the same.
It's true.
So you are who you surround yourself in this job.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good advice.
yes.
So, and then I'm going to ask you some advice when we close out. So, on our closing little sentence or closing little question here. Is there any final takeaways you can leave with us or our listeners who are maybe struggling, feeling different, or feeling like they have to put on a front because of the job they're in, the career, maybe where they live, or whatever it may be? What advice would you lend to them?
So, first of all, if I could go back in time and tell myself who was applying, is embrace the suck. Because listen, this is a hard profession. It's not easy.
Right.
And I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh my God, no, it's hard. It's hard, embrace the suck, but the reward it's crazy. This job will, it's number one, it's going to open you up to so many different experiences. And yes, it will change who you are, but I think it's made me such a better human being and it's given me a platform to help people. So embrace the hard. Yes, it's going to suck. Yes, you're being, especially having hate. There's hate in law enforcement. It's
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. And it's
Embrace it.
within the
It's within
department
there.
too.
It's on the outside. But if you are in this profession for the right reasons, all that stuff will go away.
Totally.
I
Your
promise
heart
you.
shines
I
through.
wake up and do this job because there's a fire in me. And the day that that fire is not there, then I wouldn't be in this profession. But I have a fire burning inside of me every single day I wake up. I love going to work. Not many people can say, I love driving to work.
Yeah.
I love driving to work. I love going to work. I
Yeah.
love being a police officer.
I love
So
it.
embrace the suck now, embrace the obstacles. It's not easy, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be easy. Okay, life isn't about being easy. If it was easy, there would be nothing exciting about life.
We'd all do it. Yeah.
And listen, I had my fair share of obstacles, but in those moments, those are the moments that make you grow as a person. Okay, the awkwardness, and listen, people are. Let me go on a little rant here. Okay, give me a second. People are going to talk about you. It is not your responsibility to prove them right or wrong. I thought that when I got on this job, which I talked about earlier, is that like I had to prove them right or wrong. If I do it just being myself, okay, cool.
He's constantly proving everyone
But that's
wrong.
a by
Truly.
but that's a byproduct. Don't come on this job feeling that you owe these people like to prove them
Yes.
wrong. No, be
Right.
yourself, be a good officer, be squared away.
Have a good heart.
Have a good heart, be squared away, be squared away, be squared away, but be yourself. And you know what? You will see your doors open for you. So the one who's sitting out there who's debating, oh, is this for me? It's for you. It's for you.
Hmm.
Be ready to, go through the obstacles, but 100% you have a place in this community.
I love that. Yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Because me and you both.
Yeah, we know how to embrace the suck, baby. But you've done so much and you've come so far and you've pretty much dedicated your life to this career.
Yeah.
I personally can't wait to see where you go with this. And I hope you make it huge and make a lot of money. And I can like live with you or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're in the wrong job.
Well, damn, you're right. Actually, yeah. But I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I hope anyone listening, no matter what it is, like feels like, you know what, I can just open these doors and just like be me and like it'll all work out. Because like I listened to Sean and it worked for him, it could work for me. Right?
Yeah.
And congrats on Deputy of the Year. I wish I had a little shot we could take right now. But any final takeaways you want to give with us or
No, just grateful to have this platform. I think what you're doing is really special because there's so many law enforcement podcasts out there,
is there?
but
Oh,
they're all about like the things that you
fighting.
expect people to talk about. And don't get me wrong, those are important.
Yes.
I've harped on that so many times today. So when the haters go out there and watch us today, I'm not
There's-
saying go out there and just get.
There's a lot more lovers than
Alright,
haters.
I don't
A
show up to
lot
work
more.
just like skipping around. Okay, I'm not saying do that, but also I think it's important to have a law enforcement podcast that talks about the real stuff,
Yeah.
the heart and soul.
Yeah.
Because behind the badge, you're a person. And yes, we can talk about shooting, driving, tactics, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I love those podcasts, and I listen to them myself.
And we do it. We live it.
But this podcast is the real stuff that first responders need to talk about.
I paid him to say that.
There you go.
Just kidding. I love you. And you could find him on online if you want. I'll tag him.
Yeah,
If you want to like, go to him for more advice or whatever.
yeah,
And I'm
feel free.
sure he's open to it.
Feel free to she'll put like my email
I'll put his
or
like,
Instagram. You
yeah,
can
maybe
reach
like his
out to me.
Insta. Yeah. But thank you for being here.
Of
I love
course.
you so much. I'm
I love
proud of
you.
you. I'm in awe of you every single day.
Thank
So
you.
glad you're in my life. He's like my little guardian angel. But yeah, we're gonna go celebrate his Deputy of the Year now, right?
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you
Bye.
soon.